TikTok changed whenever they make changes because their moderation is done through AI, and then like you can request a review. This happens a lot. Like I noticed for a long time, nobody was getting taken down, and now everybody's getting taken down, and it'll just be one of those things that TikTok has to work through. I got to tell you honestly, I the ban I have on my main account is absolutely insane, and I've even been able to speak to a human about it, and I'm like, you're reading to me what I said side by side with the community guidelines, and nothing I said violates the community guidelines, and they're like, well, it's kind of subjective, so yeah, they're gonna have to figure that out, or I mean, maybe we won't be here anymore. I don't know. I talked to Jen when we went when the live was taken down, and I have another backup account with like a couple thousand followers that's hard to find, and I told Jen, I was like, I think we would just go to YouTube. I don't. I think you guys. I think there's a better experience there with YouTube. The only thing, you don't have the emojis, but the chat's still good. It looks better. I don't know. TikTok's better. TikTok needs to get their shit together, or they're gonna lose a lot of people. CMD plus Shift plus K. What is that? Yeah, I'm a big fan of YouTube. Plus, if you get like YouTube Premium, you never have to watch ads, which is kind of cool. I like that. Let's see what else let's just do this. Well, that's Joni Ernst. That's you guys hear my daughter? Do you guys hear that? That's my daughter outside. She's making my dogs go crazy. Do you hear that? She's such a butthole. All right, I wanted to show you some stuff with Bolsonaro in Brazil. Bolsonaro has been removed, but when I was reading this just to catch up, I was like, my God, the similarities between Bolsonaro and Trump are wild. This is from AP News. Hopefully, I don't get hit with misinformation on this one too. Brazil's federal police in late November formally accused far-right former president. Jesus Christ, these dogs! Can they walk in? I can't even read with that. Brazil's federal police in late November formally accused far-right former President Jair Bolsonaro and 36 others of planning a coup to keep him in office. The agency described a multi-step scheme substantiated by evidence and testimony in an 884-page report. Even the number of pages in the report for this would be comparable to our January 6th. Like even just the number, but just as you read through this, like look how parallel this is. The plan included systematically sowing distrust of the electoral system among the populace, drafting a decree to give the plot a veneer of a legal basis. Remember, we had the electors, like the fake electors, decree, pressuring top military brass to go along with the plan, Chris Miller, and inciting a riot in the Capitol. In the Capitol. If you were reading this, if you just read this sentence, the plan included systematically sowing distrust of the electoral system among the populace, drafting a decree to give it the plot of a veneer of legal basis, pressuring top military brass to go along with the plan, and inciting a riot at the Capitol. You'd be like, oh yeah, we're talking about January 6th, right? No, we're talking about Brazil. Prosecutor General Paulo Gonet will now decide whether to formally charge the accused parties. Now we're deciding, should we even charge them? Is this chargeable? Toss the investigation or request more testimony to understand each person's participation. Bolsonaro and his main allies have denied any wrongdoing or involvement and accused the authorities of political persecution. Weird. Here's a breakdown of the key elements as laid out in the report and how they are supposedly connected. Police allege the efforts to disseminate fake news about Brazil's electronic voting system began in 2019. Weird. That's about the time it started here in America, too. Bolsonaro's first year in office, but were conducted more strategically and intensively as his 2022 re-election bid drew near. Police say so-called digital militias compromised of thousands of social media accounts linked to pro-Bolsonaro propaganda, as well as other prominent right-wing influencers and politicians spread propaganda, as well as claiming the voting system could be tampered with. Where did we hear that? Bolsonaro also openly expressed admiration for Brazil's military dictatorship, which he claims saved the country from communism. The narrative of an impending illegitimate election defeat helped Bolsonaro rally tens of thousands of supporters to multiple street demonstrations and also muster many to set up camp outside military barracks and headquarters to pressure leaders. Convoys. the gathering at January 6th, all the Stop the Steal rallies all over the country. This is exactly the same. Now, what's more likely, that that an election was stolen in the exact same way in two different countries without any evidence, or that maybe people are lying, and maybe it's the same people involved? Following Bolsonaro's loss in 2022, Bolsonaro's party questioned the results at the country's top electoral court, arguing voting devices made in specific years could have permitted fraud. The electoral court swiftly dismissed the claims. Oh shit, you don't have evidence? Well, yeah, dismissed. They spread false studies on the vulnerabilities of the electronic voting machines through the Liberal Party in an attempt to create a factual basis for a presidential decree that would set the coup in motion, the report says. In January 2023, Brazilian police found a draft decree in the home of Bolsonaro's former Justice Minister Anderson Torres. It was one of many versions drafted at the far-right leader's behest or without his knowledge. The former president presented the document unsigned to the commanders of 3 divisions of the armed forces on December 7th, seeking their support. He didn't write it, but he gave it to the military leaders. Investigators say the draft decree shows Bolsonaro and his allies sought to create a committee to probe alleged fraud and crimes in the October 2022 vote so they could later suspend the powers of the nation's top electoral court and possibly convene a new election. Do you remember Trump floating this? Do we all remember Trump floating this, that I can suspend the Constitution when an election has been fraudulent? Does this sound familiar to anybody? The Navy's commander was ready to comply with the decree, but the Army and Air Force leaders objected to any plan that would prevent Lula's inauguration. Those refusals are why the plan did not go ahead. It was thwarted by people in the military who stood up. General Milley, all the people they want to remove from the military, thwarted by the military. Sound familiar? There's a plan to assassinate the president-elect. Federal police arrested 4 Army Special Operations officers and federal police officer accused of plotting to assassinate Lula. I don't think that there has been any assassination attempt tied to Trump, so we'll skip that one. At least him planning one or other leaders planning one. Then you had the January 8th uprising, just 2 short days after. This was in 2023, though. Federal police linked Bolsonaro and his top ministers to the riot, in which supporters of the former president, many of whom had been camped outside Army headquarters for months, ransacked the Supreme Court, Congress, and the presidential palace in Brasilia. The protesters had pleaded for the armed forces to keep the leftist leader out of office, and their uprising, which came after he was sworn in, was an attempt to force military intervention and oust the new president. There we go. I think that was the last one. The riot appears in the report as one of the several other actions to pressure the army commander to join the coup d'etat. Police say that the Brigadier General Fernandez sent a message in 2022 to General Gomez, then the army's commander, discussing the need for a triggering event for a coup. Defendants, including Bolsonaro, have argued that the riot was an isolated event, just like January 6th isolated event. Many legal experts have noted that the report's evidence of a connection between it and a broader plot is tenuous. Now, look, if this was just parallel thinking, fine. But you know who advises Bolsonaro? Steve Bannon, Roger Stone. It's the same people. It's the same people behind Brexit. It's the same people behind MAGA. It's the same people behind Bolsonaro. And by the way, Bolsonaro was able to pick up an endorsement and support from Elon Musk. Because in Brazil, the new government said, we're not doing Twitter if Twitter is going to allow just misinformation like this. And so the United States and conservatives have been going at Bolsonaro. You don't think Bolsonaro's is connected to American politics? He spoke. I don't know if he spoke. He was at CPAC. He was an invited guest to the Conservative Political Action Committee. He met with Republicans the entire week at CPAC. What is it about Republicans that link them to so many of these dictators? It's Steve Bannon. And who brought Steve Bannon into the party? Donald Trump. I don't think Donald Trump's a mastermind. I don't think he's that bright. I think Steve Bannon is. I think Steve Bannon is legitimately brilliant. And Donald Trump brought in Steve Bannon. And because Steve Bannon is able to get people riled up and support Donald Trump, he stays in the president's good graces. And he's there now. He just got out of prison, and he's there with Donald Trump now. I'm going to guess. I haven't done the research. I'm going to guess when I research, he's going to be tied to Erdogan too. But I know he's tied. I know he's tied to Brexit. I know he's tied to Brazil. I know he's tied to Milei, and I know he's tied to Donald Trump. There's a lot of fuckery going around, and Steve Bannon is the one that needs to be getting credit for this, and Leonard Leo and the Heritage Foundation. Because ultimately, just think about this. Do Christians want democracy? Democracy is inherently anti-Christian. Democracy is a threat to Christianity. Christianity is far closer to fascism, and they want fascism. They want that type of government. So when you look around and you say, why are all these Christians supporting fascists? It's because it's not a threat. Fascism protects Christianity as long as the fascist leader says, I'm here to protect Christianity. And who cares if the leader is Christian or not? It's hard to say that Schmittler was. It's hard to say that Trump was. It's hard to say Bolsonaro is. It's hard to say Milei. They use people's religion against them. The same stuff we were talking about with Drew, like when we're talking about feelings. If you're a religious person, and for those of you who are here who are religious, I love you. If you have those beliefs, great. I think it's terrific. I don't advocate losing those beliefs, but I do advocate understanding that you are a target and you are susceptible to believing things that aren't true, and you are susceptible to choosing your religion over the human rights of others. And thank you for all of you who are here who are religious who haven't made that leap. But that's why you have so many Christians who are okay with this, because ultimately, what does it mean? It means they rule, and they want that power because they believe Jesus rules, and Jesus should rule should be a dictator of what's going on in this country. 15 more minutes. We're close on the goal. What is it? 51:69 left on the goal. I realize the audience is smaller. Let's just do this. We'll probably end it there because the next thing I want to cover tomorrow. So we went a little late. And we'll be back here on this account tomorrow. Jen, do you have any announcements before we go? If you're here? Comments? I didn't see any new comments. Is it not refreshing? I just looked. Oh, weird. Oh, they came through when we went live. Okay, Cameron, another live now complete, all the time for me to skeet. But I'm always sad when we reach the end to RTP YouTube. I'll come again. I think that might be my favorite one. And let's figure out somebody to raid. Who do you want to raid? Christians choose themselves over the greater good because they believe Christianity ultimately is the greater good, I think. They believe that if Jesus is running things, it will be more just. I do think it's a sincere belief by many of them. And I blame the people who have bastardized Christianity to take advantage of people. Mishi, Landon. I don't know who Landon is. Maybe Landon's a good one because I don't know who Landon is. Let me look. What's Landon's username? We did Alina last time. What's Landon's I guess handle? I can look. I'm looking on lives. Is it Landon Reed? Does he have like long blonde hair? Diava. Yeah, we haven't rated Diava. One of our mods. She's one of our mods here. I think one of my first mods. Let's raid Diava. Change Venmo? What do you mean by change Venmo? Oh, check Venmo maybe. Oh, Natalie. Oh, thank you. For Jen, best mod. Agreed. MVP Jen. Check Venmo. Gotcha. I gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, let's raid Diava. Let's do that. Tell them MobTP sent you. I'll try and head over there too. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you're still here, if you want a Discord invite, you haven't got one, send me or any of the moderators a message. You can follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter. Everywhere is at RTP Talks except for Twitter where it's RTP Bets. And we will be back tomorrow morning, not bright and early, same time, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on TikTok. Thank you for the support. We